Oh boy, season 13. We've discussed the ins and outs of this cheesecake-like season, so now it's time to rank these episodes. I took all 22 and swung a frickin' axe at it, and a staggering 12 episodes fell by the wayside. That's right, for the first time, we have no semifinalists. We'll talk about it later. But it kinda eliminates any suspense when we get to the number 1 spot, huh? Anyway, here are my top 10 episodes of season 13. The Bart Wants What It Wants kinda feels like the forgotten Bart romance story. You don't hear much about Greta Wolfcastle, she kinda came and went, you know? But guest star Reese Witherspoon did such a great job with this fairly standard love interest role. She really conveys her budding interest in Bart, her anxiousness about inviting him to a dance, and her disappointment with his reactions. This moment absolutely kills me inside. How completely and utterly oblivious Bart is, how he interprets this as a chance to thumb wrestle. It's a nice portrayal about how people, especially at that age, bungle their way into relationships and then end up making them even worse. Like, dude, you brought Milhouse along. So painful. I think everything in the first half works well, has a pretty funny, if not spectacular, opening set piece, and Rainier Wolfcastle adds a cool dynamic. But the story kinda loses me with the whole Canada trip. There's no real reason to fit one of these into Act 3. Feels like the writers were desperately trying to add content to a bare-bones story. So while not the most dynamic or complex Simpsons episode ever, The Bart Wants What It Wants gets the awkward little relationship stuff right, so it deserves a spot on this list. For better or for worse, Sweets and Sour Marge is one of the most steady episodes of these middle seasons. It's not ever going to wow you with these gut-busting, memorable jokes, but it's never going to piss you off either. It's like the definition of good, not great. The Duff World Record stuff works as a wacky, ambitious Homer romp and gets the town involved. That giant human ball provides some solid laughs. Then, pivoting to the Springfield weight problem and Marge's showdown with Ben Stiller's character. Stiller successfully gives his trademark snarky and energetic performance, threatening to kill everyone in the courtroom. Even with that, I'm surprised Gil actually won his court case. The sugar heist in Act 3 is definitely underdeveloped. Homer versus the 18th Amendment, this ain't. Although I do love that joke about paying money not being part of the deal. And the action scene has some solid jokes. But I don't know, there's not a lot of substance to any of these plot points. Sweets and Sour Marge is one of those episodes full of these small, funny moments that make you smile and have a good time, but don't necessarily leave a lasting impression. It's like the Mr. Goodbar of Simpsons episodes. Tastes good, I wouldn't say no to one, but it's not many people's first choice. The Blunder Years is such a bizarre episode, and it's a minor miracle that it works so well. It's got Marge falling in love with paper towels, which turns into a hypnotism thing, which turns into a flashback trauma, which turns into a mystery, which turns into Burn Smithers lore. A lot of episodes like this end up feeling incoherent, but this one is surprisingly well plotted. The Marge stuff with Burley provides a nice jumping off point, some cute Marge character humor, and an embarrassing but sort of harmless prank. But instead of throwing it away, like a paper towel, it actually comes back in the end. Why can't other Act 1s be like this? Homer, for his part, is charmingly enthusiastic, showing vulnerability when the story needs it. I think the character writing in general is excellent. This pathetic moment with Moe, how kindly and patiently Homer and Marge hear out his theory in the end. Yeah, I guess the plot doesn't make total sense with Mr. Burns inexplicably getting rid of the body. Yeah, cover-ups are all the rage, but still, come on. Smithers Sr.'s sacrifice is actually pretty heartwarming, some good Burn Smithers stuff. Although this episode definitely makes the context of their relationship pretty weird. Like the episode itself, it's better not to think about the little details. You know what's cool about She of Little Faith? This hamster astronaut. Aw, look at how cute he is. Look at his wife in her 1960s hat. Adorable. Also, hey, Lisa's story is pretty neat. But seriously, this episode has a lot going for it, adorable rocket stuff aside. It's a new angle to tackle with the church, how commerce and religion can intersect in unfortunate ways. Mr. Burns is incredibly dynamic, shaking his fist about the deal and throwing smoke bombs in their faces. The situation is so over the top that it provides a good outlet for Lisa to take a stand. And since this is season 13, they make it more of a personal Lisa-Marge conflict instead of Lisa going up against the Rev or Flanders or someone. Yeah, there's the argument that Marge is too awful here, actively gaslighting her daughter, but her means are so silly and mundane, it doesn't come off as too oppressive. The Marge stuff isn't too overbearing, and Lisa's personal journey is fleshed out enough to be meaningful. I don't think She of Little Faith is an especially funny episode. That calm zen attitude doesn't mix with wackiness that well, and Richard Gere's appearance feels pretty distracting, like Lisa's spiritual journey needs a celebrity guide. But if you want a calmer, lower impact Simpsons experience, this is a good place to look. Papa's Got a Brand New Badge has a reputation for being a Homer the Vigilante rehash, since it shares several elements. But let's take that argument further. It borrows the Heatwave stuff from Bart of Darkness, then a Springfield Riot from several episodes, then the Homer the Vigilante plot, then the Fat Tony showdown from the Pretzel episode. Yeah, this episode's reputation is probably warranted. At the same time, I think it's executed really well, despite those rehashy elements. We get incisive observational jokes about the heat, love this fan sequence in particular, then some wacky riot humor that Springfield always excels at. Homer's security business opens the door to some solid Lenny and Carl banter, as well as a commercial, while No Mr. Plow still provides some laughs. And the Fat Tony stuff? Come on, we've got that awesome Sopranos homage. When was the last time The Simpsons did a stylish parody as extensive as this? Season 7? Season 8? Well, I guess Behind the Laughter, but still, this part is worth the price of admission alone. I don't know, it's really easy to feel cynical because of so many familiar plot elements, but Papa's Got a Brand New Badge is a reminder of what makes these elements so good on The Simpsons, why they keep going back to these wells. Execution is everything, and this episode gets that aspect right. Despite a gimmicky premise, Half Decent Proposal is awesome. Well, it has a really dumb final act, which is why it falls to number 5, but let's focus on the good stuff for now. First, I like how we get this Homer illness plot from Marge's perspective, that Homer's body is breaking down once again, with the corresponding Hibbert visit, but Marge gets to carry a lot of the jokes here, trying to plug up the snoring, jumping out of the car, getting tipsy while her sisters write an email. They portray Marge in this endearing and relatable way. She hesitantly goes into this odd arrangement, tries to be polite and kind, but stands up for herself when Artie acts like a scuzzball again. And maybe it's the nostalgia talking, but it's cool to see Artie Ziff again. John Lovett's energetic performance with a slightly different spin on the character. For Artie Ziff, this is about the best we're gonna get in terms of a character growth arc. Unfortunately, they went with this weird oil rig Act 3 that I will never understand from a plot perspective. What is this scenario paying off? Although this does have that bizarre and hilarious Mount Carlmore joke, so maybe it's worth it. Little Girl in the Big Ten is quietly one of the weirdest premises of the season. This story of an 8-year-old passing for a college student, and Bart becomes the bubble boy. But it's conveyed in such an oddly believable and down-to-earth manner, I somehow never question it. Lisa's always had this upward trajectory over the course of the series, constantly wanting new challenges and essentially becoming this mini adult. It's fun seeing her finally get these new experiences, with relatively few barriers. Let's follow along and see how long she can keep this up, keep living that double life. I mean, she conquered gymnastics, surely she can do college. Lugosh is great, by the way. And the Bart B-plot serves as a silly change of pace from Lisa's more grounded affair. Some clever jokes, especially love this Homer part, and they never go overboard with it. It's a nice diversion, and then syncs up with Lisa's story. Unfortunately, I don't think the social angle with Milhouse works at all, that suddenly this is a story about Lisa needing to win over her peers. Since when was this Lisa's motivation? So yeah, I don't think Little Girl in the Big Ten sticks the landing at all. But at least humiliating Skinner was funny. Like with the last entry on this list, one confused plot point shouldn't ruin what was otherwise a good time. So how do people feel about Weekend at Burnsies these days? I feel like I've seen opinions all over the place on this one. I mean, it's an easy episode to make fun of. The Simpsons trying to be edgy or relevant by doing a weed episode, the promos showing Homer with a joint or stoned out of his mind. Obviously, several aspects of this episode feel quaint now, this family-friendly approach to the topic. Still, it's fun seeing Homer in a different context, loafing around even more than usual, that extra bit of spaciness. This picture they used for his rally just kills me, that expression on Homer's face. And even the bookends of this episode are really fun. I confess, I actually kinda like crows. They're such smart, fascinating animals, and watching Homer become king of crows is genuinely entertaining. It's a murder, Marge. A group of crows is called a murder. And then of course there's the crowbar. Now the burn stuff at the end is all kinda crazy, the most brazenly ridiculous ending this side of the Loch Ness Monster. But in this example, I love how aggressively wacky the sequence is. This dance number, how he collapses, and how Homer casually pushes him aside. And then the slapping thing at the end. It's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea, of course, but after a pretty surreal and spacey Act 2, hitting us with some of that vaudeville silliness is a good call. It makes me laugh, at least. Jaws Wired Shut is definitely the most surprising episode of Season 13, in that you see its gimmicky premise and assume it's another one of those wacky Homer injury romps. But instead, we get this wonderfully thoughtful and observational character piece for Homer, getting a sense of his internal dialogue and him learning how to be a good listener. There's an argument that Homer is too aggressively well-meaning here. I mean, it's not like Homer's stoned anymore, you guys. But it's super endearing how helpful he is to his family. Cute little jokes about writing yes twice or dough on his little chalkboard. It's a very smiley Homer. His good-natured perspective is pretty infectious. Similar to Weekend at Burnsies, I really appreciate that this observational Act 2 is bookended by wackier elements. All that movie theater humor with the film trailers and the ushers running in. Then in Act 3, Marge getting fed up with the peace and quiet and finding an adventure of her own. It reminds me of those wacky Act 3s of the Scully years. This episode does a good job building up to it, commenting on Homer and Marge's dynamic. Some cute Marge jokes too, in the Demolition Derby. I'm not really into the whole Popeye parody at all, but then again, I didn't like the Brothers Little Helper ending either, so maybe I'm just anti-Popeye. I don't know. Still, from a humor and characterization perspective, there's a little something here for everyone, making Jaws Wired Shut the most well-rounded episode of the year. Gee, I wonder what's gonna be number 1. I Am Furious Yellow is such a fun episode of The Simpsons. The nature of the story opens the door to so much creativity, doing all this comic book humor with Bart and Stan Lee, animation jokes with these two guys, then the angry dad himself and his over-the-top rage. I think a lot of people can relate to Bart here, how jazzed he is about his new creative project, how his first attempt is so hilariously and childishly derivative. The episode says a lot about what excites people, what sparks inspiration, and those early steps in the creative process. I love how Bart is able to take advantage of the inherent cartooniness of Homer and transform it into this rudimentary animation. All of the Flash animation and .com bubble commentary is absolutely dead on, is now this nostalgic time capsule of a way back internet. Also, can we talk about Stan Lee? He is just so damn good in this episode. The Simpsons write this guy perfectly. That blend of hyper-enthusiasm and shilling for the brand, with a teensy bit of delusion thrown in. It's a real be careful what you wish for story for Comic Book Guy. But I think that Stan Lee attitude is the key to why I Am Furious Yellow is so good. It's just such an enthusiastic episode all the way through, so driven by passion and anger. Homer turning into the Hulk is the only way this thing could possibly end. It's this perfect melding of the story topic and the sheer force of personality put into it. I love I Am Furious Yellow. This is like the 3rd time I've talked about it on this channel. In my book, it's far and away the best episode of Season 13. Just missing out on this list was, well, I guess it was either all of the remaining episodes or none of them. Basically what happened was, when I went over the episode list, there were only 10 that I seriously considered. However, the weird thing is that I would take this top 10 over season 11 and season 12's any day of the week. I think season 13 is one of the most top-heavy seasons in Simpsons history. When it's good, it's really good. But after these 10, I think it gets pretty dicey pretty quick. But of course, that's just one person's opinion, so let me know in the comments where you land on these season 13 episodes. Was I wrong to cut down so many of them? What are some hidden gems I didn't consider? I mean, I don't really care about this Grandpa Zelda story at all, it's incredibly dull to me, but damn does this episode have some memorable jokes. Let me know where you land on these episodes. Up next, we have the, interesting world of season 14, in which Marge hits Homer with her car, gets giant muscles, as well as giant breasts. You might say season 14 is really the most top-heavy season, eh? Hey, what do you want? We just came off of a season full of dick jokes. Just let me have that one. See y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.